Come on! Yes, big, absolutely huge 3 points. Arsenal 2, West Ham 1. Fantastic result at the London Stadium. A huge victory. One of those that really odd in the way. It was a really odd game in the sense that it just really... we never really got going. It was strange. Really never offered anything, and yet still coming away with a win is absolutely massive. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. I hope you're doing good and well after Arsenal have picked up another 3 points. 4 games to go. And now Arsenal play Leeds while Spurs play Liverpool at the weekend. There's a real possibility Arsenal going 5 points clear next weekend, and that would be massive considering the North London derby follows the following Thursday. We're going to be getting lots of your thoughts and your feelings and reactions to today's result in the chat box. Make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's our reaction show time, and we're going to be going through plenty of your comments. So let's jump into it. Rich, thank you so much for joining up as a member. Richay B. Maybe it's Richay B. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate that. Massive win. So great to see the support in the chat box. Let's see what you guys are saying. Chris says, we ran, we chased, we fought, and we won. 110% effort. Kevin says, huge 3 points. Michael saying, holding, applause. Man of the match performance. Ben White out with a tight hamstring. Holding came in, and that is really strong. Mike says, still got my new home shirt on. 9 points from 9 in wearing it. Mike, this now means that you just can't take it off. You can't take the shirt off until, well, never. You can't take it off. It's as simple as that. You now need to keep that shirt on permanently. There is no debate here. Charles, great performance. Bit of an edge from the lads. Love it. Apafire says, lose the 3, we should win. Win the 3, we shouldn't. How Arsenal can you really get? Well, that's as Arsenal as you can get. Paul says, massive result. Terrible performance for 60 minutes, but comfortable at the end. Respect to holding. I keep on wanting to say Holdinho, but worried about Tomiyasu. I wouldn't be too worried. I don't want to tempt fate by anything, but he did say he was fine as he walked off, and he didn't limp in any way. And when you've got a calf injury, it's nearly impossible not to limp, and he walked off pretty comfortably. I think it's probably just, I think that's as much as he could give during the game. So I think that he will be fine, fingers crossed. But we don't know ultimately, but I'm not as wildly concerned as I saw a lot of people on social media getting after the game. Luke says, we've got Super Mick Arteta. He knows exactly what we need. Kieran at the back, Gabby in attack. Arsenal on the way to the Champions League. Great Del Mondo says, professional performance at the end. Well done to Ødegaard for talking Eddie down, especially with Rice kicking off. Holdini, man of the match. Yeah, in those moments, you need the leadership. To be honest, I thought it was a performance of a really young side. I know that might seem weird considering the fact that, we dug in and we was a lot of grit and determination, but I thought there was a lot of immaturity about our game today. A real kind of frustration with the amount of passes that were going awry. I think the pressure was getting to them sometimes, but Xhaka, besides one misplaced pass from Xhaka, I thought he absolutely bossed the midfield today. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Let's scroll down in the chat and get a little bit more reaction from everybody. Really? Some weird comments going on in the chat box. Dan says, Gabriel has the same goals now as Laka this season. Wow, that is quite the statistic. Iron Cub says, Tom, I think we need to bench Saka against Leeds. He seems to be playing through all these injuries. I don't want him to burn out and ruin him like Ole did with Rashford. He's got to manage himself, but ultimately he needs to be checked over by the medical staff. If they deem him fit, if they deem him ready, then we use him. And we need him. We need him to play. That's what we absolutely need. Noel says, don't think Tommy is injured. He gave a thumbs up when he got off the injury. I agree with you. I don't think it's too big of a problem. Zana says, oof, not pretty, but a massive 3 points. If we get top 4 with Nuno, it can be added to another 7 and a new wonders of the world. Look, if we get top 4 with this squad of young, developing, immature in some cases, inexperienced certainly players with, a smattering of experience of which we've lost some key figures throughout the course of the season to injury. Tierney, Partey, Tomiyasu not yet fully fit. Ben White wasn't in this game. A huge £50 million defender not available to us, and still got a big result away from home against West Ham. it's really, really, really promising for us as we try and close out the rest of this season. We look stronger with Tomiyasu, says always. Absolutely, I agree. Trevorelli says Mo was huge, Granit was huge, Eddie ran his socks off and needs that clinical. Look, we could have won this comfortably. If Eddie Nketiah had his shooting boots on today, we would have won this comfortably. And that is the difference between, Arsenal having that top-class, world-class striker and, with respect, Eddie Nketiah. That's just the difference between them. And in those moments, you could see Victor Osimhen running away from the West Ham defence. You could see anyone with a bit of pace about them and with better finishing ability taking those opportunities so much more clinically than we've seen there with Eddie Nketiah. But still, you've got to praise Nketiah's running, his energy, his harassing of the opposition. And I like the little bit of bite at the end. I appreciate that. I appreciate the street smarts, if you will, about our game. Tulip says Nketiah was good on runs and finding spaces. Shooting was off, but still good performances. Tom says, even if he didn't score, I thought Eddie had a really good game. Alex says, Antonio, the poor man, Zach Fenwa, trying to bully Eddie. He's scored 2 in 21 now. Antonio, absolute form has fallen off an absolute cliff for him and West Ham. Look, I don't mind seeing West Ham go on to do whatever they do in the Europa League, but they're going to need Antonio to start scoring, that's for sure. Akmal says, only got to watch the second half. El Neni was immense. Great defensive play and control of midfield, and what a lovely pass to Nketiah. Unreal pass. There were some really good passes on the break. Those first touch flick around the corner, or those kind of measured balls over the top that we saw from El Neni. There was a few of those today. I think we went long, quite more so than we ever have done, I feel, this season. I've never seen as many long balls from Arsenal, and it was probably a game that suited that because West Ham were tiring and we were just trying to hit them on the break as well. Dejan, though, pointing out that Tavares is going to cost us. I am worried about him defensively. I really wanted him to come off, to be honest. And I think that had they not thought that Tomiyasu's fitness was not going to be an issue, they probably would have brought him off. But I think that the fact that Tomiyasu, they didn't know if he was going to be able to get through a full game today, and he wasn't able to ultimately in the end, I think that that's probably the reason why Tavares stayed on for the entire game. But the fact, what we're achieving with this group of players, there's so much to still improve on, so much to get better, so much to add in terms of transfers as well. What we're achieving right now, and the fact that we are 2 points clear in fourth place at the moment and have the chance to open up a serious gap, I feel, next weekend. There's so much potential about what this team can achieve, and it's exciting. I'm excited right now, which is great. MRM says, Holding has to be man of the match. Always seems to perform in the important games. Right now, people talk about we need to step up and maybe he's going to move on. We need to replace him, but it's going to be hard to replace Rob Holding because he's proven to be very, very good defensively. He's just a really good player to have in your squad. And if he's happy to be in the squad, who can blame us for keeping him? Because I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Ife says, I'm absolutely buzzing right now. Absolutely agree with you, mate. Over the moon with today's result. Henry says, poor performance, but the result is what matters. I think we have to talk about this in terms of context. Look, in terms of what we were able to do, in terms of how we played against Man United, from an offensive sense anyway, it wasn't the best. We've had better attacking performances. We played better, arguably, against Southampton than we did today. And yet we come away with a victory in this game and we didn't in that game. And that shows you the inconsistency of the side. But it was a good performance defensively, in my opinion. The goal that they scored was one moment of chaos, mainly from Tavares, ultimately leaving. Sofal just free on that right-hand side and did so often. Gabriel could have been a bit better, maybe with Bowen as well. But that one moment was just one slight issue in a game that we had pretty much a grasp on for most of it, if not all of it. I never really felt like we were out of control in this game, and that is a really, really important thing. John says, love the victory, top 4, top 3 in sight, but it looks like every player ate a burrito before the game started. Quite heavy legs is what that was. Good analogy there, John. And John Aitken says, I don't care how we perform from now to the end of the season as long as we get the 3 points. Absolutely, come on you Gooners. Ade says, good result, but we need to curb these silly mistakes from the team. The pressure's on a young side. Mistakes are going to happen. We need to curb them, sure. But I think we can put this down to it being a very young team and there's still being a lot to come from this very, very young side. Marcus says, not a great performance, but 3 points. Zavik says, it's becoming a bit of an oh no to Tavares. Yeah, it is a little bit, just a little bit. Noel says, honestly, who does Rice and Mount think they are? Both are cocky and overrated guys in ESR's pocket. Embarrassing. Vera says, clearly views on Nketiah is mixed. Thought his work ethic was phenomenal. He kept the keeper busy and won the corner that led to the first goal. It's very true. Like, I think finishing-wise, he needs to improve. We know that. It's probably not going to be at Arsenal. But from an energy, a dynamic, a pressing, everything that you want from your forward when they're not scoring goals, he brought that to the team. Even little bits of link-up play as well were good. Passes into Tavares, combining with him, and Smith Rowe when he came on, and Martinelli to an extent too was good. Andy says, Tom, don't let Sophie from the Highbury squad leave the UK. We've won the 3 games that she's been over here to see. I know. She's going to go back. She's going to go back, and we're going to have to do the business against Leeds without her. That's just the situation that we're going to find ourselves in, unfortunately. Lucas says, get in there, lads. What a result. Didn't play that well, but if we had a world-class striker, it would have been 4 or 5. Fair play to Eddie, though. Christopher says, both teams were so sloppy. I've never seen so many giveaways by 2 teams. Marcus says, is it true that Sanchez is signing for, I think, one of the Milan clubs, Paul Bailey? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He got sent off earlier today as Lille lost to Troyes in Liga. Tarun says it's all about Liverpool beating Spurs and us getting a draw at White Hart Lane. Newcastle away is a little bit of a banana skin for us. I agree. I think that when you've got a situation where we can win this top 4 race at Spurs, hoping that Liverpool get as maximum points as possible against Spurs, and we have to then win against Leeds, the top 4 race can be decided at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that would be massive for us. Absolutely massive. Joe says, I may be wrong, but I think this is Eddie Nketiah's best game in an Arsenal shirt. The boy now understands what it means to be a striker in the Premier League. Might be going a little bit too far to say his best game, because I think his finishing was very off today. Not very, that's probably harsh, to be fair. He hit most of his shots on target. But I just think that, that little bit more clinicalness and that more confidence would certainly grow. I'm going to be back, by the way, at 8 o'clock with a podcast for you guys. I'm going to be joined by Drew and Owen and French to talk about a lot of what happened today and more. And make sure that you are tuning in for that in just over an hour's time. So we're going to stick around and answer a few more of your comments before we wrap up and go to the podcast at 8 p.m. in just over an hour's time. Schrodinger's Cat Flap says, fantastic achievement if we get top 4, and Arteta should get credit for doing a good job. Teng Wang says, I'm worried for our remaining games. Our left side looks vulnerable. Tommy Asu not completely fit, and Eddie's still too raw to lead for us. I think he's more competent at the moment than Lacazette is to lead for us. I wouldn't be swapping them out. I think Nketiah is bringing us plenty of energy. And I think against Leeds, there's that extra bit of narrative, that extra bit of spice for Nketiah, the proving against Leeds that he can lead the line for Arsenal. If you remember, he scored that goal against Leeds earlier this season in the League Cup. Let's drop into a super chat that's just come in as well in the chat box, scrolling down quite far. Wow, I'm missing a lot of comments. AFC Max says, hey Tom, sometimes you need to scrape wins, especially when you don't play well. And it was a shaky first half, but a good second half. And Tom, it was great to watch you at the Hippodrome on the stream. Love from Australia. Keep Sophie here. Hashtag keep Sophie here. It's got to start trending. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that on Twitter, hashtag keep Sophie here is what we need to see. But thank you, Max. Really appreciate your support as always, and thank you for the super chat. Olu says, professionals like Holding and El Neni are essential for teams. Fergie had O'Shea, Brown, Butt, Fletcher, Liverpool has Milner, Origi, etc. We shouldn't be eager to get rid of these players. Sometimes you do need these characters in the dressing room. Z-Blogger says, the boys grinded out a win today. Fair play. Warren says, Spurs can't hurt Paul. I hope you're right. I mean, they definitely can. They definitely can get a result against Liverpool. We know that they're really good against these teams when they need to be, and they will be very, very motivated to try and get a win. They need a win in that game. They can't afford to not. And they've already beaten City twice this season. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed that Liverpool do the business against Spurs. Liverpool have a decent record against them. So we're hoping that that will be the case. Is it at Anfield? I'm hoping that it's at Anfield. I'm pretty sure it is at Anfield. Anyway, let's scroll down a little bit more. Tulip says 595 of you. In fact, there's more 100 than 600 of you of watching now. So thank you so much. 103 likes. Get the ratio up, guys. Drop a finger on the like button. I really would appreciate it as always. Richie says, I think these wins just proper paper over the cracks. Our squad and manager is a long way off being being anyway a realistic trophy contender. Richie, I think when you consider what squad we've got and what we're achieving with it, and the fact that we're in a top 4 race with this squad, which is the youngest team in the entire Premier League, with Eddie Nketiah playing up front for us against Chelsea, Manchester United and West Ham, and we've come away with 3 wins. It gets to a certain stage where the whole papering over the cracks argument doesn't really stack up. Especially, when we could even get top 4 3 games ahead of the end of the season. That would be quite special. Kevin says, Liverpool are fighting for the title. They are going to win. I hope you're right, Kevin. Russell says, Soanes saying Arsenal foods today. And Nketiah is man of the match. He never gives us credit. Souness is never going to give Arsenal credit. He's never going to give us credit at all. And we have to expect that. We have to create our own plaudits. And again, we fought and got a very, very well-deserved victory. I think it's a deserved win. I have no doubt in my mind that we deserve to win this game today and could have won it comfortably if our finishing had been better. Zana says Spurs already drew with Liverpool this season, so no guarantees. Paul will roll them over, though. I hope so. I hope they do. I hope they do. Lynn says the difference is that Liverpool has something extra to fight for, so they will be up for it. I mean, City also, Lynn, had plenty to fight for during their game. So it's not like, it's not like City were not motivated to win that. But I do understand what you're saying. It's getting to that really crucial point of the season. Knuckles says, I don't care about the performance. We had some poor performances, but 3 points is all that matters. And to know that we can grind results out when we're not at our best is good. KMC says, concerning that if Tommy and Ben are both out, Ben White's just got a tight hamstring from the sounds of things. They're not risking him, which is, the right decision to make. Tommy was come back from a long-term injury. These types of things of not getting through an entire 90 minutes, I think, is very normal. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about it. Amara says, games like these are huge learning experiences for this young team. Need to learn how to win even when you're not playing well. Absolutely spot on, my friends. Gregory says, keep Xhaka, El Neni in holding. Imagine this bunch of a Jesus and a Gakpo. Woof. The potential that we could have. Souness just said on Sky that Nketiah was fabulous. So, I mean, how much more can you ask from a positive response from a pundit? I don't think you can ask for much more, to be honest. Ed says they just showed the replay of Ram's save on Rice's header after our first goal. It was much tougher than I thought watching it live. Yeah, Ramsdale was fortunate. I think in that Bowen moment, there was a lot of us thinking, oh, goodness, here we go. Red card Ramsdale out of the North London derby. Like, you could see that just happening, couldn't you? But he did what he needed to do. It was a dive in the end. I don't think it would have been a red card because the ball was going out of play. So it never was a red card because it wouldn't have been a clear goal-scoring opportunity. But it still was a little bit reckless, but made some good saves again and a few good distributions as well. But I think Ramsdale is needing the end of this season. I think he needs the season to end at the moment. It's not at Anfield. Oh, well, that's a shame. Spurs fixtures. Let's have a quick check. It is at Anfield. What are you talking about? It's at Anfield, mate. You got it wrong. Luke says, Tom, do you think Arsenal have become more street smart than ever, wasting time and winding up the opponents? Yeah, they absolutely have. And it's something that Arteta, I think, has got in there from the Man City days. I mean, Man City are very good at winding up their opponents. And I think we've got that in our locker now as well. Hilmi says, second half Tavares till the end of the season. I mean, if he plays as well as he did in an offensive sense, I'm fine. But defensively, I have so many worries about Nuno Tavares. I can't tell you. I'm tempted to drop him for the North London derby and to, go to a back three, just try and lock it down because we need to just make sure we don't lose that game. Not losing is going to be the key part of the North London derby. MD says, well done, lads. Typical Arsenal. Lose expected to win games, then win the games that were expected to draw or lose. It's funny because what could have happened is we win those 3 games against Palace, Southampton and Brighton. And, because our arrogance is there, our confidence was maybe up. Maybe you lose the game against Chelsea and then it starts to snowball and you lose against Man United and then we lose to West Ham, we drop points and all of a sudden you're out of the race. And Spurs don't lose those games that they lost because the pressure's not as on them as much as it was then. So I would rather we won these 3 games than those 3 games because I think it's given us the confidence. I think it's given us a boost. Let's be real. If you said who would you rather beat, Chelsea, Man United, or West Ham, or Southampton, Brighton, Palace, I think we all know what we would choose, and I choose the latter, and we've done that. So happy days. Let's go to Anu Crucis, who says Leeds have to beat us next week. Won't be an easy game. No, it won't, and they will come out to try and play because they have to try and get something. But they are very vulnerable defensively, and we need to try and take advantage of that. Scrolling down, Sco says the journalist headlines will be Jesus is Arsenal's saviour. Trust me, if we sign him, that will happen. Lynn says, what makes me cross is that it has taken Klopp 7 years to get where he wants to be at Liverpool, but some of our fans think that Mikel should be doing it already. There's going to be expectation around the club always. I have that element of patience. I think the issue with Arteta is that there have been mistakes made under Arteta that Klopp didn't make. And, that's more difficult for a lot of fans to get on board with. Thankfully, we're seeing so much evidence this season of the way in which we're progressing and moving forwards and improving that we can get behind so much more. That you can see the connection. I heard, could hear the Arsenal fans all the way through that game. And the Emirates is going to be big. So big against Leeds. It's going to be massive if we can get a result. Bradley says, Eddie wanted all the smoke today. Deep 11 says, seeing Rice rattled was so beautiful. Get in the bin, you Poundland El Neni. Paul says, excellent performance from Eddie and Rob. 3 more wins and we're good. Greg says, we are doing exceptionally for what we currently have in our side. So looking forward to the beginning of next season with the additional players like Jesus. Bear in mind, we're 2 points behind. We're 3 points behind Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have a very comfortable run to the end of the season, but they do have the FA Cup final, and their form is awful. Genuinely awful. So who knows? Who knows if Chelsea are even out of it at this stage? I don't think that they are out of it at all. And there's a chance that they could drop points. And, they've got some interesting fixtures, to say the least. But Wolves are pretty bad. Leicester are pretty bad at the moment. They should win those games. But there's no guarantees. Paresh, what am I drinking? Orange squash, mate. It's orange squash. So it's nothing exciting, I'm afraid. Omar says, Arsenal win, celebrating Eid. I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Tomorrow. Not going to be as bad. 24 hours or so incoming. Tony says, I think the club is 100% invested in Arteta, and rightly so, in my opinion. He's building something special. Calvin says, hi, Tom. Who's your man of the match? Yeah, Holdinho. Holdinho all day long. We are going to be back at 8 o'clock UK time. So that is just in an hour and 10 minutes. We'll be doing a podcast. I'll be joined by Drew and Owen and French to break down today's game in a lot more detail. And of course, with a lot of more of your help from the chat box as well. If you haven't already dropped a like on the video, please make sure you do. It's been an absolute pleasure to join you. I'm cutting this a little bit short because I say in just over an hour's time, we will have a podcast for you to listen to and tune into live on the channel. And we'll be answering plenty more of your questions as well. So come join us. Allow your Sunday evening to get ended the correct way. We'll see you soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.